Owner tonight after a £20 million takeover, the biggest ever in British soccer. The new chairman is property developer Michael Knighton. He went into business after injury forced him out of his own footballing career. The outgoing chairman, Martin Edwards, receives a £10 million payoff, but stays on at Old Trafford as chief executive and vice chairman with a salary of £85,000. After the deal revealed on News at 10 last night, Mr. Knighton said it was time for United to start winning trophies again.
Smiling broadly for the cameras, Manchester United's new chairman took control from the Edwards family, who acquired the club in the 60s for £40,000. A handshake on the pitch meant the hitherto little-known 37-year-old millionaire property developer was in command. He immediately promised £10 million would be found to refurbish the Stretford end of the ground. And he assured the fans he was above all a football supporter. His great-grandfather William played for Sheffield Wednesday's 1903 League Championship winning team, and he might have been a professional footballer himself if a thigh injury hadn't stunted a promising career. For Martin Edwards, who inherited the club from his father Louis, it was a painful decision to sell, but he defended his record as chairman.
We've spent a lot of money in that time. I think we've had exciting teams in that time. I mean, Ron Atkinson in his 5 years here was never out of the top four. It's a question of judgment whether it's failure or success. I don't consider it is failure.
Mr. Knighton warned he hadn't arrived with a blank cheque.
There is no silly money available. I am not a mega millionaire. I am not in that bracket. This has been a massive decision for me. But needless to say, I find myself with this enormous privilege bestowed upon my shoulders. I'm very, very proud.
One very disappointed man is Amer Madani, the wealthy Lebanese director who always nursed dreams of buying the club, but he remained loyal.
My blood's still red. It won't change.
However, the fans' loyalty is strained.
We're the best players in the world. That's what this club's been built on. We're a club with history, that's all we have. History, we got nothing.
United's new boss has a tough job to give it a future as glittering as its past.
Memories are all that's left of the United legend. The post-war sides filled the trophy cabinet and made the club famous throughout the world. The Munich disaster, which still haunts Old Trafford, wiped out the cream of Busby's babes. Yet United survived and quickly fought back to the top. It was around that time, 25 years ago, that a local meat wholesaler called Louis Edwards bought the club. He became chairman in 1965, but it was near the end of the club's glory years. They'd won the league twice, then reached a peak in 1968, winning the European Cup. But after Matt Busby's achievements of the 60s, the club's fortunes went into decline. A string of other managers came and went, both anonymous and extrovert. But although Ron Atkinson brought home the FA Cup, the failure to win the championship saw most of them off.
We haven't won the league for 20 years, right? That is a great challenge for the Manchester United players, and will be until it's achieved.
Martin Edwards had inherited the club on his father's death.
Hello, membership office.
Off the field, he turned it into one of soccer's biggest businesses. But as the league continued to be dominated by Liverpool, the terraces were thinning out. Today, Edwards sold out, and the faithful are hoping for a change in form.
Sometimes when a new face comes in, no matter what level it's at, sometimes it has a good effect on a club. And I hope it's going to be the same at Manchester United.
Alex Ferguson tonight got the last thing a manager needs, a vote of confidence from the new chairman. In reality, he hasn't got long for his young team.
Available to help buy success.
He's had to provide £20 million for this takeover, so presumably he's had to borrow a great deal of that, which means he'll have heavy interest to cover, which means that he'll want a dividend on his shares from Manchester United, which means that the club must make a profit in order to pay a dividend. So I don't see that they can buy a lot of expensive players and pay a dividend to Mr. Knighton. So really, not a lot has changed.
Looks for Whiteside. Took it down beautifully, turned away from Hansen. Whiteside! What a fantastic goal!
Tomorrow, in their first match of the new season, United take on Arsenal in pursuit of the league championship. The following months will show if a new man at the top can bring overdue success.
The biggest deal in British soccer history. Well, United fans and players had to absorb the news yesterday as they prepared to take on the league champions Arsenal at Old Trafford this afternoon. In a moment, we'll hear from the new United owner, but first, the club's most famous personality. We were joined in our Manchester studio earlier today by a rather battered United director, Bobby Charlton. Bobby, thanks for joining us. Presumably that black eye isn't a reflection of what's happening behind the scenes at Old Trafford?
No. I went in goals for some penalties at the soccer school yesterday, and You can tell what kind of a goalkeeper I am. I saved it with my face. But I feel all right. No, nothing to do with yesterday.
You're clearly teaching them to shoot a bit too hard, I think, Bobby. Now, what's happening at Old Trafford? Tell us a little bit about how much you knew about what was happening over the last 48 hours there.
Well, on Wednesday, the chairman, Martin Edwards, was trying to get hold of me. Unfortunately, I was in the car, I was travelling, and I wasn't able to find out. I didn't actually find out till Wednesday night that there was a bid in to take over the club. I knew that there was a meeting on Friday morning, yesterday, when I went in with the others who had already been told. Basically, that's it. Obviously, when a bid like this is put together, it's been going on for a good few weeks. I actually only found out on Wednesday evening. Not that I could have done anything about it, obviously. You know, Manchester United is such a big club. I'm only one small part of it. But Mr. Edwards, the chairman, thought that it was in the best interest of the club that this new injection of finance would help to improve not just the players on the field, but also the terrace in at Old Trafford, behind at the Stretford end. A lot of money to be spent on that. And if it was money that the club weren't able to generate on its own, you know, then obviously it had to be of interest to him.
Do you agree with that, though? Do you feel it was time for a change at that very highest level?
If it's successful and it generates interest, that the fans are satisfied and the fans are happy, and they're the ones who we've got to keep happy whenever we run a football club. Anybody who runs a football club, the idea is that the fans see good, attractive football, really good players, interesting, and an interesting break from their ordinary jobs during the week. We have to entertain them. If we need the finance to do that, and it has to come from outside, I think, yes, it probably necessitated a change just at this time, because the type of finance necessary wasn't actually available.
You didn't know a great deal about the deal, but how much do you know about the new owner, Michael Knighton?
Well, I only met him yesterday morning. Obviously, I believe he used to play football at Coventry City. He likes football. He has to like football to spend so much money on it. But I would think that given a lot of help and given the injected finance that he says, if that's forthcoming, then I think it could be quite successful for the club.
Not a great time, perhaps, for this to happen right on the eve of the season and right on the eve of a match against the league champions.
Yes, that really... we were sidetracked a little bit, and when we're all excited about a new season starting and a great fixture against Arsenal, the new champions, something to really look forward to for the fans, and it sidetracked everybody at the club just slightly, but I hope that soon that'll all be behind, and the players, being professional players, will relax and they'll do a good professional job, I'm sure, today.
What do you feel, finally, is your continued role in the club that you clearly love so much? Have you got a greater optimism now for the months to come?
Well, I'll have to wait and see. I certainly wanted an injection of finance, because there's no way that you can compete with the best, and we have to be the best football club in this country, certainly, and certainly one of the biggest clubs in the world. We couldn't do it without. I've been told, like all the other directors, you know, that he needs us to stay. I'd be delighted to stay, and we'll just look at the situation, because it's going to be a few months before it's actually all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before. But I'm certainly hopeful. The fans can look forward certainly to an injection of blood and an improvement in the facilities, which is really great.
Bobby Charlton, optimistic. Let's now hear from the man who owns Manchester United, millionaire businessman Michael Knighton. He too was a visitor to our Manchester studio. Michael, you're now a very prominent figure in the game, but we don't know a great deal about you. Tell us a bit about your background in the sport, not only as a player, but also in recent years as a supporter as well.
My background in the sport, well, I certainly had no professional playing career. That really didn't get off the ground, Steve, as you well know, from the yesterday's press releases. Naturally, I've always been a very keen supporter of professional soccer, and you can be sure I'm delighted to be involved at this level.
Has your allegiance ever focused towards any particular team, and why United, really?
Well, oddly enough, I've never been a fanatic about one particular club. I've always been fanatic about very good soccer, and I've always been prepared to travel around to see any team that's playing with exciting, entertaining football.
Can you summarise for us the events of the last few weeks, and how exactly did the Manchester United deal open up?
Well, Martin Edwards and myself have mutual friends in soccer, and it was through one of those contacts that we decided to meet. We had lunch, and to put it very simply, I said, well, Martin, why I've come here today is to talk to you about the future of Manchester United. This was about 2 months ago, in fact, and things just went on from there.
Was there immediate enthusiasm from Martin for a potential deal?
Well, I'm sure you can imagine, Steve, when this sort of proposition is first talked about, naturally you need to take things very slowly. And I don't think it's fair to say, Martin, yes, oh, thank you very much, let's get on and start writing cheques. We've grown to know each other very well over the last 2 months. We visited each other's house, we've had a lot of talks, a lot of discussions, and we reached a synergy about our mutual aims and objectives for the sport generally. And we both thought, well, we can work together, so let's move forward.
A team, of course, Manchester United, to whom success is very important, and not a great deal of success over the last few years. Is it simply a major injection of cash that's required, do you feel?
I don't think we can really say that. I think that major injections of cash into the arena of football have never automatically guaranteed success. Success needs to come right from the very top to the very bottom. I think it's simply a question of very careful planning and making sure that funding is available when it's required, and that's what we intend to do.
What are you prepared to spend, and what kind of directions do you intend to spend it?
We will certainly complete the development that's required at Manchester United. As you know, Steve, I think it's fair to say that Old Trafford is certainly the finest stadium in the United Kingdom at the moment. I hope no one gets too upset about that, but if they visited Old Trafford, I'm sure they would draw that conclusion. We need to finish the Stretford End. The Stretford End spectators deserve the very best indeed. They are tremendous fans. I think everyone's aware of that, and I think their behaviour record, which is very important, has certainly improved over the last 5 years or so, and we intend to make sure that they continue with that reputation. And therefore, we must be seen to be encouraging the highest standards of facilities, and hopefully that will lead to an improvement, a further improvement in behaviour and hopefully the public image of soccer.
It's also a very valuable property. It's a very valuable piece of real estate. What reassurance can you give the fans that your intentions are the correct intentions?
I can give today and any time my absolute categoric assurance to every Manchester United supporter listening today that this is a soccer enthusiast indulging in the industry that he adores more than any other. I started out my life in this industry, albeit for only 6 months, and I've never had, as I say, the opportunity to become involved at any real level until these negotiations began. And time will tell, of course, and certainly be a vindication of the integrity of this new project. There's no development of any kind going to go on with that stadium that isn't to do with professional soccer.
The Manchester United chairman sold his 51% share of the club to Michael Knighton, an Isle of Man tax exile. Now, some United fans have been critical of the way that the club has been run in recent years. So how has the takeover been received? Martin Tyler is at Old Trafford right now.
Well, we're, 80 minutes away from the start of a new season. Not a ball kicked yet, and here we are in the middle of a major football news story, and that's largely because of the man alongside me, the new owner of Manchester United, Michael Knighton. Michael, you've said, and all the fans have read it in the papers this morning, your aim is to make Manchester United the greatest club in the world. How do you set out trying to do that?
Martin, absolutely. That is the fundamental prerequisite. That's what we must aim for. Many would argue, and I think they're right, this already is the greatest football club in the world. People say the legend is tarnished. I don't think it is. It's going to be part of my job to restore the legend and foster it.
But I think one thing that supporters have been concerned about has been the commercial side of the club seems to have taken priority over the playing side. Now, you come in from a business background, a self-made millionaire. How can you reassure the fans that your priorities are football?
I can give everyone out there watching this programme today, and more especially the fantastic Manchester United fans, that my interest is soccer. I'm a soccer enthusiast. I started my working career as in the realms of professional soccer. This is a wonderful privilege for me. I'm in no doubt of the enormous responsibility that's been bestowed upon my shoulders. This is in very safe hands indeed, I promise you.
Will you be giving money immediately to Alex Ferguson to strengthen the Manchester United squad?
As you well know, Martin, I'm not here to speculate and postulate about transfer movements. This club has always been in the market for class players, and it will continue to be so.
They were in the bottom half of the table for the first time for 15 years last season. That suggests there's a lot to be done.
There's a lot to be done. Obviously, it's a new season, tabula rasa, clean slate. We go out there now to prove that Manchester United can hold their own in this league. We'll be there or thereabouts. I'm absolutely confident.
Welcome to the world of professional football, Michael, and good luck to you. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Martin, thank you very much.
He's very articulate for an ex-professional footballer, isn't he?
I believe he played until he was 16.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
what do you think?
Turn up for the books, isn't it? Hey, that one.
I mean, how much of a difference, Jim, will it make to Manchester United?
Well, since he's not playing, it's difficult to judge at the moment.
It's really about how much money he's going to be prepared to put in to buy players.
I suppose it is. I mean, I don't know whether a chairman makes a football club or not. It'll be interesting to watch this development and see how it does go on.
Right.